From Perth, Australia, and broadcasting around the world, you're listening to The O Show with your host, Oren McCory. The O Show is a no-nonsense podcast bringing you the best advice on training, mindset, and nutrition to supercharge your efforts in the gym, the kitchen, and most importantly, in your head. Don't forget to share this episode on your social media. Now, let's get to it.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guys, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to today's episode of The O Show. And today I have on a Perth-based coach who trains female gym pop clients and does a tremendous job of it. We have the lovely Jassy Chia on.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
This is your first podcast, right?
My very first, yes. So
guys,
you for having me on.
We're going to go easy on Jassy today. We're going to make sure she's in a very comfortable spot, but we're just literally going to have a conversation about what she does with clients, sort of the journey she's been on, and some actionable tips for people, because a lot of the people who listen to this are female gen pop, and Jassy is tremendous at what she does with her business, which she's going to tell you more about in a second. So Jassy, let's get into it. Let's talk a bit about your background, maybe into like the competing side of things, but also becoming a coach and how you got to where you are now in the industry.
Yeah, sure. So I have been in the fitness industry for just under a decade now. So I've been around, but kind of quiet, lurking in the background, I guess you could say. And like most PTs, started off in the gym, worked in a couple of gyms, and soon decided that transitioning to online was something that I wanted to sort of move towards. So I sort of started just taking on a few online clients, keeping a lot of my in-gym clients at the same time. And then before I knew it, like the online stuff was taking over and I had to make the call, whether I wanted to go in that direction and commit wholeheartedly. And I have, and it's really taken off. But yeah, so I've been doing 100% online for just over 2 years now. So actually just the year before COVID hit, I was already all set up and ready to go. So I was actually really thankful for my line of thinking. I had no idea, obviously, like everyone else, that was coming, but it did, and I was already on there, so it was good.
Yeah, that's massive, man. And I was in the same position where I still had like 40 or 50 online clients with some hours in the gym, and everyone who was in the gym just literally transitioned to online, and I had the systems and everything in place for that. So like, if anything, the business kind of thrived during COVID rather than drop off, because you could still deliver it, right? You didn't have to learn any new skills.
That's right. Yeah. If anything, I think we had to take on like some more clients because more people wanted to do online training just during that period of time. So for me and my business, it was we were pretty busy.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And it's a reflection on the good job you're doing, that people are like, okay, I need to do online. Who's the top girl to go to, and somebody who you resonate with, you know?
Yeah, I think it was a lot of clients, like existing clients, people that they knew, perhaps friends, family, they weren't sure what direction to go. So we get a lot of referrals, and to be honest, that's how our client base sort of started. So I'm pretty happy. That's still to this day, that's how we get most of our clients, through referrals.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that without going too deep into like as if I'm polishing you up about how good you are, like that shows you the sign of a good coach whenever people do get referrals, because it's quite hard to get a referral if somebody isn't really getting the service or doesn't see it. They'll not recommend it to a friend, whereas if somebody is getting above and beyond, they will happily say to their friends, oh, listen, I've got this coach, or their friends will realize how good they're doing and be like, oh, who's your coach, by the way? I need some of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. How your client success is a testament to your work, isn't it? So we really try to make sure that we do the best possible job with each and every client, and won't consider taking on more clients if we feel that might, decrease the quality of our coaching. And it's a hard one to kind of navigate through, because you don't really know what that number is. It's different for everyone. And it can sometimes change over the course of a year, depending on what else you as a coach have going on in your life. So like, for example, like you said, my competition history, while I was competing, I made sure that I wasn't taking on any additional clients. I kind of kept my own clientele fairly steady over the course of the time, and then knew once I was done and I could, focus a little bit more, put more time into my clients, I could take on a few more. So I think that's really important to consider as well.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And then speaking about that, because we talked about the coaching side, let's talk about your competitive history then. Like, when did you start competing, and obviously talk about where you are now?
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to be showing my age a little bit here, but I did my very first bodybuilding show way back in 2013. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it was quite a while ago. And that was with what was then called the INBA, which is of course now the ICN. I was horrible. Isn't everyone on their first show? But I was horrible in the way that I just had no idea what I was in for. I think I really lacked the preparation and knowledge about what the sport was actually all about. Coming from a relatively like regional city / town, Bunbury. At that time in 2013, the sport wasn't that big, and especially in like where I lived locally, there wasn't a lot of people to offer me information or tell me about the way to go about competing or things that I needed to learn to do. And I didn't realize that posing was even a thing. So I tell all of my competition girls this, and anyone that wants to ask about competition stuff, I'm like, please, please, please practice your posing. It's absolutely vital to your presentation. And on the day, I just completely winged it. So when the MC called quarter turn to the right, I realized everyone was turning. So I just copied everyone and did exactly what they did. So yeah, it was messy. And I look back and it's like a bit cringy, but at the same time, it really made me realize how much I enjoyed the day, just like being around all the other competitors, sharing their story about how they got there. And I got such amazing feedback from the judges and the ICN president that, they really encouraged me to keep going, of course, with some posing practice.
Yeah, that's good. And then you've obviously worked your way up now with your pro status, right?
Yeah, so I got my pro card in 2015. And if I remember rightly, that was the very first year that they were offering pro cards in Australia in that federation. So I was one of the first fitness model pros in Australia. So that was pretty exciting. It was all very shiny and new. And then I did my first pro show over in Las Vegas, the end of the year that I won. Nice. That was huge. I was very, very excited for that. But the show was not quite what I expected. But again, like you learn something different from every single prep and every single comp that you do. So I definitely learned a lot from that. Just the difference in competing internationally, away from all of your creature comforts, all of your support crew, like sort of being more on your own. It changes the whole dynamic of a competition, but I think it's really important to put yourself in, like I'm doing right now, putting myself in uncomfortable situations. That's really the only way that you can grow.
Yeah. 100%.
So, but yeah, done a couple more pro shows since then, and sort of done pretty okay, I'd like to think. So yeah, I've really, really enjoyed it. My last show, I placed third in the fitness pro show in Adelaide last year, 2020, one of the few bodybuilding shows that did manage to go ahead. So I was very thankful and lucky for that. But my feedback was that I have actually grown too big, muscularity wise, for the fitness model division. And so I was given the boot and told that I should probably move up to figure. So that's what my plan is for this year.
Yep. And how's that been then, transitioning, like, because you've been pro in that division for a long time, so was that a bit of a mindset shift to actually embrace growing as much as what you can now and what you have to do to go up a category?
Yeah, honestly, I was actually really excited because the figure girls are actually, I always looked up to them. And in fact, when I first competed, that's what I wanted to do. Of course, I soon found out that you have to have a lot more muscle in order to compete in figure, and that I wasn't quite there yet. So I've actually always wanted to do figure. So I was so excited to be told that, I was almost there. So it's been something I've certainly embraced. However, the eating more thing has been a lot harder than what I actually thought it would be. It was really exciting and fun and a bit of a novelty, I think, to start with. And then as food crept up higher and higher, and of course, being a girl as well, we have a bit more, I think we have more pressures to stay a little leaner or have more expectations to look a certain way, especially in the fitness space. That became something that I realized made me more self-conscious. So it has been hard, but I've really tried to push and persevere through it, because at the end of the day, I know that I have to grow, and the only way to grow is to be in that slight little surplus. So yeah,
absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. And then when you're working with clients a lot, do you find that this is one of the biggest hurdles with them making progress long term as well? Is that desire and that sort of stigma of I've got to stay lean?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that clients do enjoy about working with us here, is because we've kind of been through it as well. So it's a relatability thing. They like chatting to someone that kind of understands where they come from. Or as I like to say to them, I understand the crazy, because I've been there too. So being able to get on that level and really understand the fear of what's driving the fear helps you really get down to why. And then often you can work through it and remove it. Usually the fear is based on something quite external, like the scale number going up, or the fear that they're just going to blow out and get really fat. For example, if someone came to us and was quite overweight and perhaps, did a really good body recomp, built some muscle, lost some body fat, and then we decided that, right, you've kind of graduated from those little newbie gains. It's time to put some real work in and push your food up and grow some more muscle. The fear that they're going to go back to what they were before, it's always sort of there. So it's about explaining. Yeah, I think it's just about education. Yeah, we always explain every step of the way, and so we like to empower our clients basically by telling them why things happen and how things happen, so that when they do, it's not a big shock to their system. So yeah, especially for women who are perhaps doing their very first building phase, it's always very, very scary. We'll be a little more gently and do it conservatively, so they can understand and get a bit of a feel for what their body's going to do, how it's going to respond to the process. And then it becomes something that's just not so scary, because they realize that they're actually looking better, they're looking stronger, their training is just out of this world, and that they're not, in fact, going to put on a whole heap of body fat and go back to sort of what they were before. So yeah, it's very much helping them work through the fears and getting to the bottom of why they're worried about it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what you said there is like giving them that different focus of, you're looking at better, more muscular, stronger, rather than they've been solely focused on lean, and fat loss.
Yep.
You need to give them a different goal. So in their head, they're like reframing it as like, oh, well, hang on, I get the chance to progress on my lifts. I get my chance to eat a bit more food and enjoy myself and less social pressure and everything like that. And when you reframe it like that to them, and they're like, okay, so we just focused on this for like 12 weeks or 16 weeks or whatever in their head. Yeah. It makes it easier rather than just think, oh, it's all about the physique and how lean you look.
100%. Yeah. It is such a focus for females. Just this idea of having to look a certain way all of the time, which has certainly been something that I've really tried to educate, everyone on that follow my social media platforms, but especially my clients, because they watch me so closely, especially like in my preps. So, I have to walk the talk as well. And I show them that what I go through in an off season, that I don't look the same as I do going into a competition, that it is necessary for me to regain some body fat so that I can, move on to the next goal, that we don't stay there. because what they see on social media often is just a constant highlight reel of all of the fitness models looking really super shredded and lean on stage and posing a certain way, and it's just on the repeat. And I think what they don't realize is, for the most part, a lot of those women that's not what they look like all of the time.
Yeah. I think it's it's a highlight reel, and everyone takes all these pictures of when they're lean so they can constantly use them throughout the year, right?
Yeah. And you know what? I'll put my hand up and say, hey, I've definitely been guilty of that in the past. Maybe a combination of fearing what others might think, because they knew that I competed as a fitness model. I was a pro fitness model, so I should look a certain way, even in my off season. But also, I guess just worrying about what other people thought, but also worrying about how it made me look within the industry as a professional.
Yeah.
But I think that actually embracing the reality of it has helped so many more people, and actually helped my business more as well, because people want honesty, and they want to know the truth. And I think by showing them both sides and how, like, the ins and outs of what happens to the body going into a show and going out of a show, it's really important that people understand what the whole process is. It's actually turned a lot of people off from competing. I've talked many girls out of it because they just don't quite understand what it is. A lot of them think it's like a weight loss challenge or like a fitness challenge, something just to tick off the bucket list. But it's really quite intense. And unless you're in a point in life where you have the ability to put a lot of energy and focus into that one thing, like I'm sure, as you know, it really does drain a lot of attention from other areas in your life. I think you have to be prepared to some extent to do that. And a lot of them are just not. So I kind of tell them, financially and support network wise, mindset wise, and of course muscularity wise as well, you need to be in a position that enables you to do that. You have to have a stronger why than just I want to get shredded, or I want to get some nice pictures for the gram. That's not gonna push you through those really hard days that you go through on prep, for sure. So I've certainly talked a lot of girls out of it, but then also obviously helped a lot of girls through it as well. So
and I think when people see the highlight reel of Jassy or O's pictures of where we're lean, and they're like, it might not be a recent picture, but they're like, oh, I'd love to look like that. And it's like, you do, but it's a lot to take on. Like there's one point in my prep, I think I was 8 to 10 weeks out, and I felt like I was on fire. It was like business was good, I was winning, I was signing clients up, I was just in a really productive space. And then about 5 weeks out, it just went to shit, where I felt just lethargic all the time. I didn't even want to play with my daughter. I was like, oh, I just want to sit here. Like, why do you want me to get up and play with you? And looking back on that, you're like, fuck, obviously I was committed to what I wanted to do, but do I really want that? And I'm at the point now where I don't think I ever want to do that again.
No.
Because I don't want to miss out on those things and to not give 100% to that area of my life. If I can get lean, but not the pressure on of I've got a photo shoot or that, it's just flipped it in my head. I'm not saying I'll never do it, but at the minute I'm just that's off for me now. I want to be in a even better place if I'm going to do it again.
Absolutely.
I think you've got to be honest with that as well, right?
Yeah, 100%. It is really nice to take some time off from competing and put energy and focus back into other areas in your life, sort of top up all the cups that were sort of slowly getting a little shallower over the course of prep. So I generally take a couple years off between each show. So although I have competed for many years, 2013, what's that, 8 years? I haven't done that many comps for someone that's been competing for that long. And maybe that's a good thing and a bad thing. But I think for me, it was a matter of, because I also have 2 kids, like you say, wanting to balance that a little, as much as you can, being in this sport, constantly trying to invest as much as you can in family and career and personal life, as well as the sport. So I just don't think that I could constantly be competing every year and manage to maintain all of that. I think I would have gone crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not to put people off just starting a diet or doing some sort of
Oh,
transformation,
no,
obviously. Like
absolutely.
you obviously have 2 kids and you run a successful business, you still find time to train, prep all your meals and do all that stuff that's needed for the off season.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean that you can't do this. It's just that there's going to be an extreme where at some
that's
stage,
right.
like this, the ratio, the balance sort of
Absolutely.
life versus like, the cut sort of goes
Yeah, yeah,
off
you got
kilter.
it. Nailed it. Yeah. Like I tell my clients, it's like the more the extreme the goal or the look that you're trying to go for, the more extreme your trade-offs have to be.
Yeah.
So you may want to achieve a certain look because you think that it's appealing, and that is okay. But you also have to consider, are you also willing then to pay the price, I guess, or make the sacrifices that that look requires, because that's what that person has done to get there. And I think a lot of people don't quite realize that. So then we chat about what perhaps might be a realistic goal that's matches up to what they're willing to put in. Effort in gives you the result. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And what would you say to somebody who is kind of like they want to change, but they keep saying, "Oh, I don't have the time," or I guess this working with female Gen Pop, this is a common one of trying to balance work, family life, and a lot of people probably before they start with you, same with a lot of my clients, they're kind of spinning their wheels in the gym, like they're not really committed to it, or they're just not in the right program, or they're not doing the right accountability.
Yeah.
What's your main thing for getting these women on track and actually realizing that they can do it then?
Right. Well, for general pop clients, it's really about what are they generally trying to achieve? For the most part, they just want to look a bit better, feel a bit better, have a bit more energy, and I don't know. A lot of them just want to fit into, maybe a smaller size dress or smaller size pair of jeans. Just sort of get more confident in the body that they're in, and that's cool. For the most part, that doesn't require a really grueling, intense, hour-long training session 5-6 times a week. It just doesn't. It's just not necessary. If you have time and you want to and you enjoy it, then absolutely go for it. But a lot of our clients train maybe 2-3 times a week for 30 to 40 minutes. And I think that that's pretty reasonable trade-off. And a lot of them actually even just train at home, because even just the drive to the gym is not something that they can fit into their schedule, or, they don't have someone to look after their kids. So they've got, a few sets of dumbbells in their garage and a yoga mat or whatever. And they just make do with what they've got there. So a lot of it's simple. It's simple stuff. And it just is, we focus on implementing programs that more fit into the lifestyle, rather than trying to get a client to fit into a program, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And then, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but in terms of not knowing what to do in the gym and having no direction, obviously having a plan is huge. So whether it's from a coach, whether it's one that you sort of look up a basic one on the internet, I know there are thousands of templates out there, just something really basic. It doesn't need to be fancy at all to follow, and have like some fundamental exercises in there just to track your progress, because I think just going into the gym with a plan and knowing what you're going to do takes away so much of that gym anxiety that a lot of women have, and is really motivating, because you kind of like go in, do your session, and then the next week you go in and you go, right, last week I did this, so this week, I'm going to beat that by 1 rep, or, I'm going to lift a slightly heavier weight today. And the amount of motivation and empowerment that they get from doing that, it's really awesome to see. I get clients getting super excited about, new training programs, because they can see across, a training block how much strength and just like fitness progress they've made. Aesthetics aside, like, they make great aesthetics progress, and that's awesome too. But it's great to show them, like, look, you can now squat, 15 kilos heavier than when you first started. And they can look back on that and be really proud of something that they have achieved, other than just, a scale loss.
Yeah. And that's perfect. And, it goes to show that there's so many different wins aside from just how they're looking, everything else, right? It can be that progress in the gym and getting them to be consistent with that sort of thing, because that's probably where a lot of them are going wrong, right? They're in the gym spinning their wheels, and maybe go in and play about on the machines, but they're probably so used to going in and they've done 50 on the leg press last week, so they just automatically slot in at 50, and they're not
Yeah.
actually making that progress and thinking, right, well, what if I push 55 or 60 this week? They're just like, oh, I can do 50. Let's just do another 12 reps on there, you know?
That's right. That's right. And if you are a very sort of competitive, intrinsic person, then sometimes you can be motivated enough to do that yourself. But a lot of the time, that's a big part of what we do here as coaches is, you know, because they know that we are watching what they log. And if they keep the weight the same this week, instead of moving up to the allocated weight, recommended weight that they should be doing for that week, they feel like, oh, I don't want to let my coach down, or someone's watching me. You know, we always do a little bit better when we know that someone's watching. So I think it's that accountability thing that really helps a lot of females as well. So in that respects, it can be really awesome to have that support person, even if it's not a coach, someone to help sort of support you along in your journey, as a bit of a motivator, but also to keep you accountable.
Yeah, 100%. And when you're looking at, say, a normal gym pop female starting out, you're saying maybe they're training from home, maybe it's gym based, whatever suits. Obviously, it's based on the person in front of you. But if you're talking, say, 3 workouts a week, how would that normally look for one of your clients? And what are they doing outside of those 3 workouts, which gets them that big result overall then?
Yeah. So I guess we try and look at their lifestyle in a big picture. So if, say, you know, we have a client, Mary, and she works a desk job Monday to Friday, maybe she has a couple of small kids, can't get to the gym, it just doesn't quite fit into her schedule. So she has a home workout program, and she can only commit to, say, 3 workouts a week. So because she has a desk job, we know that a large component of her output is going to be the activity that she does across the day. And if she's sitting down all day, then that's going to reduce her output greatly. So we try to implement really simple things like, hey, Mary, why don't we get up, I don't know, an hour earlier in the morning if we can, and go for like a 20-minute walk, just a 20-minute walk around the block before work. That way you've got some steps in before your day's really even started. You know, it sets your day off to with a really nice tone. Once you've done that, you tend to feel more motivated and productive anyway. And then later on in the day after work, when it suits, then you can come home and do your 20, 30-minute, whatever workout at home. And sort of, each day just sort of tick those same boxes. So we don't try to overload lifestyle clients with trying to do too much. In fact, I find that a common trend that we're encountering now is that women are trying to do too much. Like they're trying to seriously do way too much, and it's just not necessary. We look at making progress by doing the absolute minimum whilst getting the maximum result for that level of effort, if that makes sense. Because women are doing like 5-6 group fitness classes a week. Then they're trying to do all of these like 5K runs, and then they're trying to eat 1,200 calories, and then they've got to run around and take their kids to their after school commitments and their weekend sport, and they're sleeping like shit, and you know they have no sex drive, and their hair's pulling out, and hormones are all whack, and they wonder why. And a lot of what we're doing is like telling them they need to rest more. You need to like slow down. You need to drop some classes. You need to focus on improving like your sleep, go to bed a little earlier, maybe work on stress management, meditation, listening to podcasts, go for a walk. Not every bit of exercise that we do or training that we do needs to be intense and up here all the time. There's a lot of benefit in more slow-paced exercises like yoga, and just walking is so underrated. It cannot be like more simple than that. Like just move more in general. It doesn't need to be intense all the time. Once they realize that it's amazing, they just start feeling so much better, you know, and then nourishing their bodies better. And then once they're feeling better, they want to go to the gym and put effort into the training. It has more meaning, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And like, that's massive. I think like, you've got busy females who've got a busy home life. And then, like you say, as trainers, we're taught to, or maybe the stuff that we do, it's like ticking all the boxes for a shred. It's like digestion, sleep, rather than overloading clients with all that amount of stuff. We still want to have it as optimal as possible, but rather than have them worry about their digestion and sleep. Just get them to move better, feel a bit better over time. And then as things come up over then, we go, oh, cool, we can improve the sleep now. Like that's a habit now with the movements and workouts. Let's look at improving your sleep. What 5 things can we do to make your sleep better? Or, you know, how often are you spacing out your meals? Can we improve digestion a bit rather than, you know, throwing everything at the client at once? Like, here's the water I want you to drink. Here's the steps I want you to do. Here's the workouts. And it can be quite overwhelming in that sense then, rather than
so overwhelming,
motivating.
so overwhelming. Yeah. Clients, you know, ask us like, we want the best workout. We'll do whatever it takes. I'll do 100% effort, you know, tell me to eat whatever you want and I'll stick to it 100% perfect. Like, and it's about changing that mindset to, you don't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be 100%. You know, you can fit this into your life. You don't need to mold yourself or mold your life to become like this robot and just sacrifice everything that you love to achieve, you know, this goal. It can be fun. It can be enjoyable. So we try to very much get women to embrace a more how do you want to say it? Just a more, I guess, holistic sort of approach. And look at the quality of life in the big picture of things. Yeah. So they may want to eventually be a pro fitness model. A lot of them, for a lot of women, that's what they want to achieve and that's what they want to look like. And whilst we don't want to discourage that, we also want to explain that there is a process to getting there, and you're probably not going to achieve that tomorrow. So what can we do, you know, what can we do this week to start making progress like now? Because a lot of people just want to wait. They want to wait till the time is right. You know, life is just too busy. I don't have time right now, or, you know, I want to wait until ... So I guess what we're about is like, don't wait. There's always stuff you can do. That whether that is something large or something smaller, you know, it depends on where you're at in life, but there is always stuff that you can do. So it just depends on how bad you want it. A person that kind of like, you know, procrastinates, makes excuses, says, oh, I wish I could, but I can't because, you know, they're always going to find a reason why. It's very easy to find a reason why you can't. So we instead try to get people to find reasons why you can, or things that you can do. Try to flip that focus around.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I think that's a massive one to end on, because I think we could probably keep talking here for hours, but that in itself is so powerful that it's huge to just end on that. Like, there's always something that people can do. It's just finding what's right for you and kind of finding the next sort of steps to just make that progress and just move things forward. And it could be just moving the needle the tiniest little bit towards where you want to go, and it could have a profound effect, really.
Oh, it really does. People are so surprised at the small things that they can implement each day. The compounded effects of those small little actions each day across like 12 weeks. People are just like crazy. A lot of the client progress transformations that you see on like our Instagram, Facebook pages, these are all lifestyle clients for the most part. And the things that we implement, they're not crazy training regimes. Mm-hmm. You know, we haven't got them eating stupid low calories. These are very much sustainable programs and approaches that we have across the board, because these are real people with lives just like everyone else. We're all busy. I think that's just something that, you know, is just assumed now. Everyone has really busy lives. It's just the world that we're living in. It's very fast paced. Yeah. So it's about, just kind of like having an approach that works with life, rather than trying to take on things that are actually going to be counterproductive and making you feel so overwhelmed, so stressed out that you burn out. And then you're going to be caught in this loop of kind of like stopping and starting. And I think that's what people get really frustrated with. They get onto a program, start feeling really good, but maybe it's too much for them to juggle for a long period of time, that eventually, you know, they drop the ball and then they're kind of back to ground one again, and then they start over. So we want that ball to keep up in the air. So it needs to be something that they can keep juggling, you know? Yeah. It needs to be something that they can manage as a lifestyle, because that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. And I think when people do look at the results that you put up, they'll be able to relate to what you're saying a lot, because these are just like what seem like normal everyday people who get fucking incredible results. And it's probably because you're just taking that individual approach and working out what that person needs and just moving the needle, like we said, just like what they need at that time, and just being like, just focus on this. Let's stop trying to do a million different things. Just focus on this one thing that's going to have the biggest bang for your buck. And then we'll start doing something a lot later. And I think it's quite refreshing to hear that as another coach, that, you know, you're not just pounding your clients into the ground and treating them like comp prep clients, and that you're treating everyone differently based on their scenario and what they've got going on and what they need to do to move that needle a little bit. Yeah.
I kind of think of it as like progressive overload, but with clients. Yeah. So, you know, you wouldn't give someone who's just starting to train like all of the volume. You'd give them a little bit at the time, and that little bit of volume would be more than what they were doing before, and they're going to get a result from that. So why would you do that with a lifestyle client? You know, you only need a little bit, and then you can build it and progress it from there.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. That's killer. And if people want to follow you now coming off this and they've resonated with what you've said, shout out your Instas or maybe your Facebook, if that's a big platform for you as well.
Yeah. Well, pretty much what I share on the Insta is pretty similar to the Facebook. They are linked. But you know, I have different viewers on each. So my Instagram is Jassy_Chia_Iron Maiden. And my Facebook page is Jassy Chia Iron Maiden Fitness.
Perfect. So guys, I'd encourage you to go and follow Jassy. She's got some awesome stuff that she'll be posting up. Even her own journey and what she's going through now, going from that category to figure category, is going to be awesome to watch. And I see it every day on your story, mate, and it's good to see. So, and guys, if you've enjoyed this, remember as well that it's Jassy's first podcast. So show her some love. Let's screenshot this. I say this every time, guys, but the way I know you enjoy this content is if people screenshot it and they tag us in it. So tag either Jassy or me or both of us and let us know you enjoyed this, because I'm sure we both like to get the feedback on this episode. And I think there's lots of little nuggets in here that people can take away and actually implement moving forward, whether it's just, you know, being a bit easier on themselves or implementing, you know, overload in all these areas of their lives to try to move the needle a bit more. It's a winning podcast, mate. So thank you for your time. Any nerves you had, mate, I did not pick up on. So well done on that. It was awesome. So
thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome, mate. You have a great day, and I'll speak to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for listening to The O Show with your host, Oren McCory. If you liked this episode, then please subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening and share this on your social media. We'll see you on the next episode for more no-nonsense advice to help you supercharge your efforts in the gym, in the kitchen, and most importantly, in your head. See you then.